Hello everyone, this video will help understand histology of the oral cavity and histological structure of the salivary gland. They are starting from the introduction to the gastrointestinal tract or digestive system. So gastrointestinal tract can be subdivided to the two parts, that's digestive tract or digestive tube and associative structure. Digestive tube starts from the oral cavity, after that it continues to the esophagus, stomach, small and large intestine, rectum, and finally anus. Associative structure that first of all glands, large salivary gland, that's the liver, that's the pancreas, and associative structure gallbladder. Digestive system execute a lot of function. First of all, of course, that digestion, that's mechanical and chemical processing of the food, that absorption of the nutrition, that removal of the undigested substance. Digestive system execute function like excretion, immune defense, and endocrine function, secretion of the hormones having local and system effects. If you take cross-section of the digestive tube, they will see that digestive tract, that's hollow tubular organ, and it has lumen and has wall. Well, a wall is consist from the several layers. So let's give a look to this histological scheme and try to understand what are layers and what are histological structure in it. First layer, the inner layer, which is in the contact with lumen of the digestive tube, that's tunica mucosa. Tunica mucosa, all this lining by mucous epithelium, that's the most inner layer. Different type of epithelium can be simple, can be stratified, different shape of epithelial cell, also can be squamous, cuboidal, and etc. After mucous epithelium, they can discover lamina propria. Lamina propria, that's loose connective tissue, so they can see their blood vessels, nerve, and lymph uh, structure. For example, in this scheme, round green in color, that's uh, lymphatic nodules here. And finally, that's muscularis mucosa. Muscularis mucosa, that two or three layers of the smooth muscle cells. So, inner layer, the tunica mucosa, which composed from the mucous epithelium, lamina propria, and muscularis mucosa. Second layer, next layer, that tunica submucosa. In the histology meaning, that's loose connective tissue with all typical structure. What they can discover that, of course, blood vessels, arteries and veins, of course, lymphatic vessels, of course, nerves. Also, they can see the secretory portion of the glands in the submucosa and duct from the gland. So, second layer, tunica submucosa, loose connective tissue, glands, duct of the gland, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves. Third layer of the digestive tube, the tunica muscularis. In this hand, they can see that smooth muscle tissue, but also can be found skeletal muscle tissue, depending on the part of the digestive tube. For example, in the beginning of the anterior part, or in the caudal part or the posterior part of the digestive tube. Visible there are two layers, inner layer, that circular muscle layer, and the outer, that longitudinal muscle layer. Please pay attention to the presence of the intramural plexus, yellow in color, and nerve. So, third layer, the tunica muscularis, which is made up from the smooth muscle tissue or striated muscles, depending on the region. And finally, tunica externa, the outmost layer, that can be tunica serosa and tunica adventitia. Once more, that depends on the part of the digestive tube. Tunica serosa and tunica adventitia, in its nature, that's loose connective tissue. Difference that serosa also has mesothelium, simple squamous epithelium. In this portion of the slide, you can see a real histological specimen, so that cross-section of the digestive tube, that's yellow portion, that's lumen. So they can see all these layers which have discussed below. So D, that's tunica mucosa. E, that's tunica submucosa. F, that's muscularis, tunica muscularis. And G, that's tunica externa. Let me remind you classification of epithelium. That's information from the previous semester, but in the special histology and especially in the digestive system, all this will give characteristic of the epithelium. So we should remember about two criteria of epithelium. First of all, we should decide is it simple epithelium or stratified. If we see just one row, one layer of the cell which rests on the basal lamina, that's simple. More than one, you see two or three or five, that's stratified epithelium. Second criteria that shape of the epithelial cell can be squamous, can be cuboidal, can be columnar. So they say simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar. Pseudostratified columnar that belong to the simple epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, very rare stratified columnar epithelium. And transitional epithelium, that's urothelium, also called, we will see deeper structure of it in the chapter of the urinary system. This slide shows us overview of the histology, the digestive tract or digestive tube. So here they can see simple cross section, simple schema of the cross section of the digestive tube. Inner layer to the lumen, that mucosa pink in color, submucosa purple in color, yellow in color, that's tunica muscularis, and tunica externa, it's visible here, that's adventitia or cirrhosis. Depend on the part, I repeat, of the digestive tube will be different peculiarities of all four layers. In here, like summary of the structure digestive tube, but in the future lecture you will have this information about the middle part and the posterior part of the digestive tube. But for the present moment, we can understand that even in the esophagus, stomach, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, colon, different relief of the mucosa, different structure can be found in the submucosa, different number of the layer in the tunica muscularis, and of course, tunica externa also can be different. You can see serosa or adventitious serosa and etc. So in the future lecture, you will have this information.